Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. A beautiful day. Wow. Um, so, the idea of having something to speak about, um, well, it's it's funny that it never ends for me to be like I come out here and I sit down and think, wow, okay, what wants to be said? Um, and sometimes there's a little wrestling match that goes on. A friend gave me a book last night. I stopped to visit my friend Barry, and he gave me a book I think I've actually read before, but a book by Dr. David Hawkins, another one, Devotional Non-Duality. Devotional Non-Duality. And Discovery of the Presence of God. And um, it's interesting that in the first pages he it talks about the very first pages he talks about awakening, enlightenment, or consciousness, or realization of who we are, and he destroys the the illusion that it's something that we have to work for, to get, if you will. And in, it's a great book anyway. He destroys the illusion. We think in our dualistic way, in our this equals that, or right and wrong, good or bad, in our judgmental way, in our idea that something is always in the next coming, we think there's a future. So in that realm, we think that if we do enough stuff, we can kind of earn realization or awakening or enlightenment. And what the 12 steps in Alcoholics Anonymous and NA and CA and wherever the 12 steps are being used tell us that no, it isn't that way at all. What happens there is there's a number. The first 5 steps are really about realization of who we are and how we've been living, and trying to live by our own wits and trying to live by our own will, and that living from our own will hasn't been satisfactory. It doesn't work for us, so we if we really get that, we think, oh my gosh, I cannot manage my life. And many times, I mean, the whole idea of awakening, life may be going quite well in a way, and yet this desire, or this I don't want to call it desire, this not even a search, but this somehow deep love of the possibility of realization is in us. In the early days, in a recovery mode, we're usually chased by desperation. And in time, it becomes inspiration. And in that time between when desperation starts to fall away and inspiration hasn't quite logged in, many people fall away. And they fall away to back to wherever they were in, you know. And so, because if we take away whatever it is we're abusing, our beliefs, our ideas of finding fulfillment in whatever, whether it's drugs, alcohol, relationship, parenting, travel, wherever we're looking for fulfillment outside of us, you know, when we stop digging that hole, then there's this, well, what's next? What's next? And in after we've gone through like a deep fourth and fifth step where we really analyze the futility and fatality of our way of living, comes the real step of faith, and that's 6 and 7, and it says there basically that we ask to have our what we call defects of character. We think, though, that is just our anger or fear or our selfishness, but it's that has to do with our beliefs as well, and how we start to surrender those things and have them removed from us, and that's the beginning of moving closer to this awakening. And the awakening is described in chapter step 9 in the promises. We know a new peace. You know, we lose our fear of people, economic insecurity. We actually start to trust life. Oh, and so we have this idea that enlightenment or awakening is some mystical thing, and it's actually just relax into the moment, like, oh, everything is exactly as it should be in this moment. There's not a hair out of place anywhere, and that knowingness starts to come to us, and that's awakening. Yes. The idea that we have to work for it or get it or understand it is what separates us. That's the defective character that we have to let go of, that we need to know or understand. Just do it. Just surrender in the moment, and it's there. So all of our beliefs about ourselves, all of our story about ourselves, all of our concepts about life, that we're getting old, or that we're, you know, not very smart, or that we're, all of that stuff is just, it's just really bullshit. So the possibility is to live in bliss, and the question is, can we surrender all of what we think we know, all of what we think we know, our instant judgments? It's so simple. It's available for everybody, truly available for everybody, and it's in the 12 steps. You know, if we dig in there, it's right there. You know, what are we asking to have removed in step 7? And we're not asking to be shown how to do it. We're just asking to have them removed, and they disappear. And we move into our natural state, which is a state of love. And we know when you look at in your life, when we see an infant, like just a little baby, like, a very, a newborn. I don't know about you guys, but I always tear up. And I tear up because I believe we're in the presence of absolute love. And that's our natural state. And then it gets conditioned out of us. So we can be in that state. That is possible here. And it's promised by all the teachers, promised in Christian teachings. My friend, this book that was just given to me last night, Hawkins, talks about it over and over and over again. And he has his scale, and he shows, how Christ consciousness has at 1,000 in his, his scale. He built cool, and unconditional love at 540. Muji, talks about it over and over again. If you listen to Muji stuff, he just says, leave all of that outside the door. Leave it outside the door, and you walk in the room of love. There's nothing to do. Totally surrender. Eckhart Tolle talks about it, the power of now. So we're surrounded by the teachers, and it's available for us all. And ego says, yeah, whatever. And in the big picture, it doesn't really matter. Nothing matters. Okay, you guys, I'm going to read from this little book, which sometimes I think we're on page. This is, and he's quoting. He's quoting Psalms. He's quoting some stuff out of the Bible in this book. This was written in 1954, and I've been enjoying reading it to you guys because it's a daily thing. There's a thought for the day and a meditation for the day, prayer for the day. It all brings us closer to this oneness. Because that's what we're talking about. Is a oneness. It's not a separateness. It's a oneness. And so what I'm reading here helps us to be closer to that, to realize more of who we are. Okay. He says, to continue the paraphrase of the psalm, the judgments of the 12 steps are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than whiskey, yea, or cocaine, or whatever. Sweeter also than wine. Moreover, by them are alcoholics warned, in keeping of them there is great reward. That's what I've just been saying. Who can understand his alcoholism? Who can understand his alcoholism? Cleanse us from secret faults. Keep us from presumptuous resentments. Let them not have domain over us. Then shall we be upright and free of the great transgression. Am I resolved that drugs and alcohol will never again have dominion over me? And I expand that. It's from just talking about, in his book in 54, he's talking about just alcohol, but, to even our beliefs and our concept, our bundle of stories that we think are us, to let them go. Our bundle of stories, I'm this, I'm that, because those are the things we've done, or even we have stories about stories, and that makes us more of who we think we are. It takes us away from who we really are. Meditation for the day. God can be your shield. Then no bullets. Then no buffets of the world can harm you. Between you and all scorn and indignity from others, between you and all scorn and indignity from others is your trust in God, trust in the moment, trust in love. Like a shining shield. Nothing can then have the power to spoil your inward peace. With this shield, we can attain this inward peace quickly, in our surroundings as well as in our heart. With this inward peace, we do not need to resent the person who troubles you. With this inward peace, you do not need to resent the person who troubles you. Instead, you can overcome the resentment in your own mind, which may have been aroused by that person. Resentment, judgment, complaint, yes, it's all, we can be free of all of that. Prayer for the day, I pray that I may strive for inward peace. I pray that I may not be seriously upset, no matter what happens around me. So the message is that awakening, God consciousness is right there. It's not over there, it's right here. It's now. We can be in that right here and right now. This is it. This is it. This is it. Is now. Be here now. So that's God consciousness right now. Feel it, breathe it, experience it. It isn't separate from us, from you. Practice that. Okay, I'm gonna go. Beautiful day, isn't it? Wow, just gorgeous. Very grateful. Thank you. Remember, we're ambassadors of love, and that's kind of a label too. But just imagine that, we are love, and we can share love. Okay. Be the love. All right, bye, you guys. See you tomorrow.